All right, so in section 2.4, we're talking about dividing polynomials and the remainder and factor theorems. So we're going to do long division, which you might recall, but we're going to do it now with polynomials. We're going to do synthetic division, which you're all going to love. And then we'll talk a little bit about the remainder and factor theorem. So let's start off with long division of polynomials. So there's a list here that goes through what you should do in order to perform long division. I'm just going to go ahead and do an example, and as I'm going along, I'll tell you the steps, and then if you need, the steps are here listed 1 through 6. So how would I go about doing this? Okay, so first I need to put the divisor, which is the x plus 3, the thing that I'm trying to divide into the larger polynomial. And here I have the dividend, which goes underneath of my division symbol. All right, so if I were to write this as a fraction, it would have been x squared plus 10x plus 21 divided by x plus 3. I need to make the first term of my divisor look like the first term of my dividend. To do that, what do I have to multiply x by to make it x squared? Well, I would simply multiply by x. The next step is to take the value that I just found and multiply it by everything in my divisor, and I'm going to put the results right here. So x times x is x squared. X times 3 is plus 3x. So if you're looking at the steps above, that would be step 3. The next step says to subtract the product that I just found. So I need to change the sign or subtract the entire term, or all the terms. So x squared, and then I go down the columns. So x squared minus x squared is 0. You should get a 0 in your first column each time you do one of these steps. If you don't, then you've done something wrong. Then I have 10 minus 3. That's going to be 7x. So now my goal is to say, okay, how do I make x into 7x? Well, to do that, I would simply multiply by 7. Okay? So now I take the 7 and I multiply it by everything in my divisor. So 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 3 is 21. I also would need to bring this 21 down, and then I subtract the results. Now this time you'll notice that I have 7x minus 7x, that's 0. And I have 21 minus 21, which is also 0. This is good. This means there is no remainder, and that the x plus 3 went into the other polynomial perfectly. Okay? So real quick, this tells us that our two factors of that polynomial are x plus 3 and x plus 7. So let's think about that for a second. If I just gave you this polynomial and said factor, you would look for two numbers that multiply to 21 and add to 10. What are those two numbers? Well, they are 3 and 7. So this problem is actually really easy to factor, but it's good for us to see how this would come out with long division. So let's go ahead and try another. All right, so this problem demonstrates that we need to put things in descending order. So you'll notice that on top, this is written in the ascending order, right? It goes no x's, x squared, x cubed. We need to reverse that. So we have 6x cubed minus x squared minus 5x plus 4. And into this, we are dividing 3x minus 2. Okay? Now, we need to take our first term, which is 3x, and we need to say, how do we turn that into 6x cubed? To do that, I would multiply by 2 to make it a 6, and by x squared to make it x cubed. Now I take this, multiply by everything in my divisor, so I get 6x cubed minus 4x squared. Remember that I have to subtract everything, so this becomes minus and plus, right? Makes it the sign change. I have 6x cubed minus 6x cubed, that's 0. Then I have minus x squared plus 4x squared, that's 3x squared. Then bring down the next term, so minus 5x. I am trying to make 3x turn into 3x squared now. How do I do that? Well, I would simply need to multiply by x. So plus x. Now I need to multiply this x by everything in my divisor and put the results below. So 3x times x is 3x squared. Negative 2 times x is minus 2x. Make sure to change the sign of everything. So this is minus, plus. Then add down the columns. So 3x squared minus 3x squared is 0. That's great. That's what we intend. Minus 5x plus 2x, that's minus 3x. Let's bring our 4 down now. And this time I am trying to say, how do I make 3x into negative 3x? To do that, I would need to multiply by a minus 1. So I have 2x squared plus x minus 1 up top here. I would take this negative 1, multiply it by everything in my divisor. That's going to give me 3x, minus 3x plus 2. Then I change the sign of everything, so this becomes plus and minus. Add down the columns, 3x, or negative 3x plus 3x is 0. 4 minus 2 is 2. Now, here I often get the question, when do I know to stop? Well, when you know to stop is when you have no x's left, right? If my original thing was trying to turn an x into some other form of x to a power, and the last number here doesn't have an x, then I stop. So this is a remainder. Now the question is, what do I do with this remainder? So the way to treat the remainder, we just add the 2 divided by the divisor to whatever our solution was. So the solution to this division was 2x squared plus x minus 1 plus 2 over 3x minus 2. Let's continue and look at another example. Two things important that are demonstrated in this example. First, they're not in descending order. Second, you'll notice that there's an x to the 4th, but there's no x cubed, x squared, x terms in the problem, and then we have a constant. So what do we do in that case? So first, let's put this in descending order. All right, so what we would need to do now is when we write our dividend, right, the thing that we're dividing into, we need to put zeros for each of the variables that are not existing here. So 0x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x minus 2,401. Okay. Now, same process as before. We need x to turn into x to the 4th. I do that by multiplying by x cubed. Take that value and multiply by your divisor. So that's x to the 4th times, minus 7x cubed. Okay. Remember to change the sign. So this becomes minus plus. Add down the columns. So x to the 4th minus x to the 4th is 0. 0x cubed plus 7x cubed is plus 7x cubed. All right. Remember to bring down the next term. Then how do I make x into 7x cubed? Okay. To do that, I would need to multiply by 7 and x squared. So even though that there was no x cubed term in our dividend, you see that the factor we find does have an x squared term, right? That comes out. Okay? That corresponds to that. So next we need to multiply this value, 7x squared, by the divisor. That's 7x cubed minus 49x squared. All right, change the signs, add down the columns, bring down the next term. Okay. Next, we need to make x into 49x squared. To do that, we would multiply by 49x. Then we take that and multiply by everything in our divisor. That's plus 49x squared minus 49x times negative 7 is negative 343x. Change the sign of everything and then add down the columns. The 49x squared terms cancel. Then we have 0 plus 343x. That's 343x. Then bring our last digit down here. All right, how do we make x into 343x? That's easy. Multiply by 343. So 343 times x returns 343x. 343 times negative 7 is minus 2,401. That looks like this is working out really nicely, right? Our last step here is to change these signs and then add down the columns. We get 0x plus 0, which is fantastic. That means we have no remainder. And so our solution is x cubed plus 7x squared plus 49x plus 343. And just so we know that this times x minus 7 results in the numerator here. Okay, so that's how we go about doing long division. All right, one final example here. This time we're doing something to the 4th power divided by something to the 2nd power. So the difference here in this problem is that our divisor is not simply an x. All right, so inside the dividend, we have 9x to the 4th plus 6x cubed minus 6x squared. Remember that we keep going until we get to a constant, so plus 0x plus 0. All right, outside we have 3x squared plus 2. Let's take, how do we make 3x squared into 9x to the 4th? To do this, we would multiply by 3x squared. Multiply that by your divisor and add to the bottom here. So that's 9x to the 4th plus 6x squared. Okay. You'll notice that the 6x squared doesn't line up with the 6x cubed. So 2 ways we can fix this. You can outside here put plus 0x plus 2. And then when you multiply, we'll get 0x cubed and then minus 6x squared. Right, and add down the column, so we get 0x to the 4th plus 6x cubed minus 12x squared. All right, so we need to make 3x squared into 6x cubed. How do I do that? Well, to do that, I would multiply by 2x. So now I need to take my 2x and multiply everything here. So I get 6x cubed plus 0x squared plus 4x. And I'll bring my 0x down. Change the sign of everything. My first terms cancel, which they should. Then I have minus 12x squared minus 4x. And I'll go ahead and bring this down while we're at it. I need a number that makes 3x squared go into minus 12x squared. In order to do that, I get minus 6. I'm sorry. In order to do that, I get minus 4. Minus 4 times 3x squared is minus 12x squared. Minus 4 times 0x is 0x. And then negative 4 times 2 is minus 8. Change the signs of everything. Add down the columns. My first set cancel. Negative 4x plus 8. Now, here is where I stop, because you'll notice that the power of my divisor is higher than what I'm left with here. So that's going to be my remainder, and we're going to have minus 4x plus 8 divided by 3x squared plus 2. And that is our answer.